Thank you for coming back and welcome once again to Unity DAO, a look at my life. This is episode 5. If you're interested in earlier episodes, please look them up. I'm sure there's something there for you. So somebody suggested, why don't you do an episode on the parties you joined? So this episode is about the political parties that I have joined. First of all, it should be a very short episode because I've already joined 2 parties. Let's start with Botswana Democratic Party. Until I went to a BDP meeting in 2013, before the 2014 elections, I had never, ever been to a political party meeting. I didn't even know that they met. I'm sure many people don't realize that parties meet almost every week in schools across the country. For example, if you're in Muchudi, you'll find that the BDP may meet at Singwaeng or Isang. The BCP may meet at Pilani. So parties meet almost every week, in schools across this country. And if you are not in political party, environment, you don't even know this happening. I didn't know this was happening until I went to that first party meeting. I had no idea how parties were organized. But I joined BDP then, or actively joined BDP then, and started going to its meetings then. In 2014, I ran under the BDP ticket for Muchudi West, and I lost. I lost, yeah. So, as luck would have it, I was brought into cabinet as a specially elected member of parliament. So that was the first party I joined. Let me just talk about the experience. Joining a party, being a party, especially being a new person in a party, is not easy at all. First of all, like I say, you have no idea how this machine works. I mean, you don't have an idea. You have to go there to know. The parties are run by, first of all, there's a core group of people in these parties that they're there forever. It's like religion to them. I mean, they've been with these parties for, BDP, there's a small group of people, maybe 10 or 12, maybe 15 in Muchudi, who have been with the BDP. I mean, there's more people with the BDP, but this particular group of people will go to all the meetings, they will go to all the congress, they will go to all the so they are devoted to the party. And often they are not, in my opinion, rewarded to the extent that they actually put effort into these enterprises. So if you want to run for anything, these are the deciders. You find that they're the same people who go to Congress to elect, the Women's League or the Women's Wing. In the BDP, it's called a wing, the Women's Wing. When the Youth Wing meets, somehow they're influencing as well, who really can stand for the Youth Wing, and who they are the core of the party. They know the party, and you better be liked by them if you want to win. Under the BDP, like I say, I lost the elections 2014, and then I was elected, a specially elected member of parliament. I served under the BDP ticket on BDP government as a Minister of Education. I've said before in an earlier episode that Minister of Education was the toughest ministry, of the 3 ministries I was at. And education is tough. I know that because I've been in education in the private sector at Baobab. I didn't see the toughness that much there because I wasn't so much involved, but I saw it at TDA, the DAO Academy. Education is tough. It's tough because of your customers. For every child you have, there are at least 2 parents. So you actually, if there are about 600,000 kids in basic education in the country, so you have 600. So you've got 1.2 million people to make happy. That's a lot of parents. I mean, that's half the country. I mean, and it's only a ministry where every single year there are national exams, and you are judged by those exams. So when the Standard 7 fail, it's your fault. Form 3 fail, it's your fault. Form 5 fail, it's your fault. On the other hand, people who build roads, if you're a Minister of Infrastructure, you think every time a car flips, people don't even think about you. You know, when you hit a cow, do you think the Minister of Agriculture thinks, oh, Minister of Agriculture just killed me because this cow should not be in the road? No. So there's no direct accountability for other ministers, but with education, the people are there every single day. And also you have the future of their children in your hands. You know, education determines where they're going to go next. So, so it's not an easy ministry at all. And of course, you know, all over the world, education has been modernized, reformed, but we've been very, very slow in reforming the education system in this country. So the Minister of Education gets blamed. I was in Artesia, for example, Artesia Junior last week. That school should be closed. That school should be closed. The toilets, there are no toilets. Kids are using the bush to go to the bathroom. Kids and hostels are sleeping outside because the hostels are just, you know, it's a horror show. It is not the fault of the Minister of Education, but everybody looks to her and blames her for the condition of Artesia Junior Secondary School. For that to be turned around, she needs money to be able to maintain that school. How many schools are there in the country? How much is their budget? She has teachers who are underpaid and under-resourced. So when the kids fail, we look to the Minister of Education. But it's this whole systems problem. So that's why it's a very tough ministry. But I served under BDP in that, you know, under BDP, that ministry. Then I went very, very short time went to infrastructure, the Ministry of Infrastructure. And I think infrastructure is something at the time, I can't remember the other. I mean, this ministry changed all the time. But infrastructure was the main, you know. So there's no work. Absolutely no work. I can tell you, I was there for, I think, 6 weeks. I came home, I told my husband that I'm quitting my job. I cannot do this. There's absolutely nothing to do there. So he's like, well, why don't you write a book on their time? He said, I'm kidding. You know, like, it doesn't make sense for you to quit. It was a good advice, but I was moved before I started writing a book. Why is there so much work at education and so nothing at infrastructure? It's because of what do you do as a Minister of Infrastructure? What do? You don't build the roads. You don't procure at all. So you open, you know, when there's groundbreaking, you go there with nice hat, you know, a hard hat and boots, and then the school is, you know, there's groundbreaking, take photographs, you go to your office. And then when the facility is finished, you come again, then you open the book. That's all. There's absolutely nothing. My desk was clean. There's absolutely nothing. And like, for example, there's another example, somebody who's in the Ministry of Home Affairs, for example, the work there is insane. Most of the work there should not be by a minister. You are the one who's issuing permits, whatever. So it shouldn't be you. There should be a system that says, you know, if I want to go to the US and get a permit for or visa, I don't see the minister. The minister doesn't even know that I'm in the country. But in this country, the Minister of Home Affairs is the one who issues all these things. Totally, it shouldn't be their job. So anyways, that's what... But then I went to Foreign Affairs. I loved Foreign Affairs people. I loved that job. Why did I love the job? I loved the professionalism of the people who work there. I mean, I had never been so supported in a way that's so different from education or from infrastructure. If you are going to, everything is planned. If you are going to meet somebody tomorrow at 9 o'clock, the day before, somebody drops on your table a brief. Who's this person? You know, what is their education background? Where did they serve before they come here? What is their politics? What is the politics of their country? What's the name of their president? All these things. How many children they have? So that when you come in, you have everything there. You are not confused. You don't make blunders, because that's why, you know, remember Foreign Affairs is about diplomacy. You don't want to say somebody, you know, somebody wants to, you know, who's Muslim, treat them like Christian, you offer them pork. You should know, or maybe somebody is Christian, and then you have to know who your clients are, who your people are. Beautiful ministry, beautiful people, really, really smart, educated, and dedicated workers at Foreign Affairs. I love that ministry because of its professionalism. But of course, you know, I quit. You know, that one August day, on the 20th of August of 2020, I said, bye-bye. I cannot do this anymore. And I'm going to be very honest. It was because, in my opinion, the BDP was not living to its values. You know, I used to say that, okay, you can't quit an organization because of the people there, because the people will leave, you know, and you must influence the policy, influence the values of the organization instead of quitting it, because an organization is people, is any one time. So the BDP of 1966 is not going to be the BDP of 1980, it's not going to be the BDP of 1920, it's not going to be, or any organization, because organization is just a carcass. But the values are the people who actually breathe life into the written values. You can write all the beautiful values, but the person who is actually now taking it and make real those values is going to determine the organization. So I just think, nah, I'm not quitting anything just because of people, but there'll come a time when you know that there's absolutely no way you can separate yourself from what this organization is doing. And therefore you must remove yourself from it, because otherwise you're going to be, you know, tainted by the same brush. So that's why in August of 2020, I decided finally, after, you know, talking to my president for many months, many weeks, saying, look, we are not going to the same direction. You know, it's like a three-legged, if you are going to run a three-legged race, you have to be going the same direction. You know, the third leg should step together. The joint legs should step together. So we are not stepping together. And also I always say that when I was a judge, I used to be really naive. I thought all you need is good institutions and good laws or good rules, a good, you know, a good constitution. Everything will be fine. I found no. You also need good people. You also need good people. So at the end of the day, you can have the same constitution of two different countries. You know, I'm sure we can all agree that the America of Trump is not the America of Biden. It's not the America of Obama. It's not the America of, you know, of George Bush, you know, or Clinton. Why? Because the leader determines the culture of an organization without changing anything at all. So the culture of BDP was not the culture that I wanted to be associated with. Not because the organization itself is bad, but because the leader, you know, determines how it's going to be run. And I didn't like the way it was being run. That's why I quit. And we'd also know maybe that then later, if you watched earlier episodes, then I later quit the BDP itself. First I quit my job, first as a cabinet minister, then later as a BDP. Then I was looking for a new home. So I was looking around. I was talking to people. I was listening. I was watching, you know, and deciding, you know, where do I think in terms of the culture of an organization, which organization's culture is very close to my own personal culture. That's when, and then I landed at BCP. That's my home now. I'm enjoying that home. I ran under BCP in Katling West in 2024 and won. I don't think too many people believed that I was going to win for many reasons. First of all, there really was no BCP in Katling West. In the Katling West, remember, Muchud was divided into three: Katling East, Katling Central, and Katling West. Had it been divided, had it been just the two, then what I'm just saying, many of the BCP people had remained in East and Central. So the fringes, the villages of the A1, Lishibis, Komudia, Sabadio, Konya, Tijia, and Borasesa, especially the smaller villages up there. Because when you're in opposition politics, it's very difficult to reach outlying areas. So BCP had not been as active in those villages as they'd been in the main village. So once you carved out that Katling West and was more these villages along the A1, it had been a place that poor, under-resourced opposition parties had not really been able to penetrate that well. So and it was a tough race. It was really, really a tough race. And I just want to thank the people of Katling West for having faith in me. It's been now, I cannot believe that's already almost 10 months, maybe 11 months, because next, it's October. The elections were end of October, beginning of November, the 1st of November. So clearly, it's almost 11 months in this new position as the Member of Parliament for Gauteng West. And I have to say, it's tough work. Being a Member of Parliament is tough work. First of all, you meet people who voted for you and those who didn't vote for you or who didn't vote at all. Okay, you meet people who think you're a magician. A T-shirt should be closed. So, a Member of Parliament, close it or fix it. Okay, you go to Kotla meetings, and they tell you, oh, look at our structure. It's breaking down. Look at the Kotla. We don't even have a Kotla structure. Why don't you contribute so that we can build it? You leave the Kotla, there's some, so it's tough because, first of all, what is your job as a Member of Parliament? Your job as a Member of Parliament is to listen to constituents, to frame their issues as questions and motions and possibly bills in Parliament, because you are the connector. Also, to inform them about the decision of the executive, the decision of Parliament, so that they know what to expect. But at the end of the day, you are not a member of, unless you're a member of the executive, you are the ruling party, you cannot, promise to fix their road. You can promise to argue that their road be in the national plan so that it can be fixed. But if the road is not fixed, it's your problem because they voted for you so that they can fix their road. So it's an interesting kind of, and also people come to my gate, for example, with all kinds of, 2 days ago, someone came, she's been thrown out of her house by the landlord because she had no rent. Her problems are financial, her problems are marital. So you end up you have to be an advisor from all kinds of directions and on all kinds of areas. But am I happy at the BCP? Yes. Why am I happy at the BCP, you may ask? Why do I think that the values of the organizations are my values? First of all, there isn't a kind of top-down approach that you find in some organizations. There's more like you find the leadership is more, it's an inclusive leadership in many ways. And also, when we were going to elections next year, there's an honesty within BCP that maybe, in a way, maybe cost them elections. They didn't say, for example, we were going to create, jobs overnight. They tried to say how they were going to create jobs and to suggest that it's going to take time to create jobs. So there's an honesty that resonates, that I find, that I agree with, that I associate with. And I also feel that I'm new to the BCP, but in many ways, BCP is new to Gauteng West. So I don't feel that I joined an organization that's already been established in my constituency and somehow I have to contort myself to fit into an already, recreated structure. I feel like I can create the BCP within Gauteng West and infuse the values that I personally have, which I believe also are the values that I find in the BCP constitution. It's 2025. We are going to elections in 2029. Somebody asked me, what are your plans? Well, maybe my plans will be in episode 20, episode 25, or no episode at all. Let's not discuss that now. Let's limit our discussions, my friend, to the parties that I joined and how I served within those parties. So, as far as BCP is concerned, what committees am I serving under within the BCP? Remember I talked about BDP? I was a minister of, so this one, I was in the executive. So this one now I'm a backbencher, what do you call a backbencher? So in the BCP right now, I am the chairperson of the Climate Parliament. Okay, committees of parliament are made up of members from all political parties, and generally the membership is weighted in favor of the ruling party, more or less, so that obviously there are rulings, and therefore even in committees their voice often is much stronger because they have to translate the views or the path or the policies of the executive. although I have to be honest to say UDC is much more generous in terms of committee constitution than BDP. You know, they allow for more freedom and democracy within committee to elect their chairs, jalo jalo, so which is good. But so I'm chairperson of the Climate Parliament. I'm also the chairperson at the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Foreign Affairs. That may explain why sometimes you've seen me at events that are organized by the Ministry of State President, like maybe at BDF events or police events, etc., because of my participation as a committee member there. I'm also a committee member of the Parliamentary Caucus on Women, and the chair there is the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Mema Manyene. That particular committee deals with issues that the idea of that is to really audit the other committees, audit the work of government, oversee the work of government to ensure greater participation of women in politics. That's a huge, huge piece that maybe one day we'll do. And I'm also a member of other committees in Parliament, because that's how Parliament works. I'm also the shadow minister for state president. What does it mean? What BCP has decided to do, because there are only 15 of us, to make sure that we try to be as impactful as possible. We've all been given shadow ministries, so that when issues that are related to state presidency or issues that relate to foreign affairs, I'm the one to deal with them, respond to them, or provide oversight around those issues, so that I don't do agriculture tomorrow and then education comes. So that's my role within the BCP Parliament, is I am the shadow minister for state president and for foreign affairs. So I have two mandates, because there are only 15 of us, but there are 18 ministries. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very much for listening, and hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And until we meet again at episode 6, the topic of which maybe one of you will suggest, I don't know. But thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye until we meet again at the next episode.